Hey there, Misfits. This is Kate.
And I'm Kale.
Welcome to Horrorwood. Hello, we have a few shout outs before we get into this episode. Kale, do you want to take us away on that?
Yes, I would love to. I would love to shout out my friend Carrie, who just joined Patreon.
Thank you, Carrie. We love you.
We do. And she also has really good questions after she listens to the episodes, and she'll either post them on Instagram or she'll ask me at school because she's a teacher friend.
Mhm.
And so it's really great because it keeps the dialogue going, and then it also keeps like the episodes alive.
Yes, we love the questions.
Thank you so much, Carrie, for your support.
Thanks, Carrie.
And if you're going over to Patreon, you could also follow my artist friend, Lauren Rapp. She makes amazing art with like oils and acrylics.
We actually, truth be told, we shouted her out on the last episode, but then we ended up having to cut it. So we just want to make sure that like we got her name out there and got her info out there. So it's Lauren Rapp, R-A-P-P, right, Kat?
Yeah, that's right.
Awesome. And while you're on Patreon, I mean, you're just going to be doing all kinds of things on Patreon.
Right.
You can check out ours, patreon.com/horrorwoodpodcast. And one more, we're full of the shout outs this morning.
People should be recognized.
They should. In fact, these are all women shout outs, which I love. It's just like a women supporting women thing.
Sheroes.
I want to shout out the podcast I Swear on My Mother's Grave. It's hosted by a woman named Dana Black. She's amazing. Also has the sexiest podcast voice you will ever hear in your life. So if nothing else, just go listen to it for that. But it's really cool because it's about people. She always has a guest on, and it's people who have lost their moms. And
oh, wow.
Because she too has lost her mom, and they just have a conversation about lessons they've learned
the grief.
Yes. And it can sound off-putting at the start, like, oh, I don't know if I want to hear about people talking about their moms who died, but It's very approachable. It draws you in. And even if you
have a healing process
for sure,
each person.
I mean, yeah, not even just the guests, but for listeners. And even if you haven't lost a parent, it does make you think about what you would do now differently.
Right.
In terms of your relationship with them. It's great. So I Swear on My Mother's Grave. We want to support her, Dana Black. She is amazing, and women are amazing. And we're about to talk about another amazing woman.
Oh, yes.
It's going to start off rough, and then we're going to get into good stuff, and then it's going to get rough again. So just want to give all that to you guys.
Okay. Thanks for you know what? We always like a good forewarning.
You've been warned. Around 2:00 a.m. on December 1st, 2021, 81-year-old Jacqueline Avant, or Jackie as she was known by her friends and family, was murdered in her Beverly Hills home. Her death sent shockwaves throughout the entertainment industry, not only because she was a prominent philanthropist and champion of the arts, but also because she happened to be married to Clarence Avant, who was known as the godfather of Black music. Oh, he is a legendary music producer who's worked with such stars as Jimmy Smith, Babyface, and Bill Withers, just to name a few.
Those are huge names.
Yes. Thankfully, the asshole who killed Jackie is a fucking dumbass, so he does get caught. Oh, pretty quickly.
Good.
But we'll get to him later. I want to start by talking about Jackie. Jacqueline Alberta Gray was born on March 6, 1940 in Jamaica, Queens, New York.
Oh, yes.
In her 20s, did you ever go, where is Jamaica, Queens? Because is that different from just Queens, New York?
No, no. It's not. It's also a stop on one of the subways, and you can get to the Long Island Railroad from there.
So
It's just
Jamaica.
it's a neighborhood in Queens.
Oh, okay.
It's
Okay.
yeah.
Gotcha. I don't know New York, and so that's why I have to defer to you. In Jackie's 20s, she began working in a hospital as a phlebotomist in New York City.
Oh,
When I read that,
fascinating.
I was like, what the fuck is a
Yeah,
phlebotomist? It's a
it works with
person.
blood.
Yeah, they're the person that draws your
Yes.
blood and prepares the sample for testing.
Yeah.
So, like, pretty fucking important.
Yeah. And yes. Wow.
She was also a model. So not only was she super
Mhm.
intelligent, but also beautiful inside and out, as
What
we'll
a
see.
wild stretch of careers, like from
She,
phlebotomy to modeling.
I mean, she was every
That's a
woman. She was
that's a Jackie
amazing.
of all trades.
Oh, I like that.
Mhm.
She modeled for the Ebony Fashion Fair.
From the magazine?
No, it wasn't for a
Oh,
magazine. It was a fashion show and fundraising event held every year. It was created by Eunice Johnson of the Johnson Publishing Company in Chicago.
hmm.
Eunice Johnson was also one of the first entrepreneurs to market cosmetics made particularly for Black women.
Oh, that's great.
This episode is all about powerful women doing extraordinary things.
I'm here for it.
Yes. The Ebony Fashion Fair traveled to cities all over the country with a focus on Black neighborhoods. It featured mostly Black models wearing clothing by designers such as Yves Saint Laurent,
Mhm.
Givenchy, Jean Paul Gaultier. The
Ooh,
Ebony.
your French is sounding really good
I'm
today.
I'm really trying.
You're
I'm
on it.
trying. It's so fancy. I like trying to sound like I'm fancy.
We.
The Ebony Fashion Fair was a huge deal because it was really the first time that Black people saw themselves on a runway.
Mhm.
And also keep in mind, it was the 1960s, and America was not a great country when it came to race. It still
Still
isn't.
questionable.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
these Black models going into these Black communities and wearing designer clothing to say, hey, we're here, we're strong, we're beautiful, they were trailblazers.
Amazing.
It was around this time in Jackie's life that she met Clarence Avant. He was an up and coming talent manager at the time with a client list that included Cicely Tyson and R&B star Jimmy Smith.
Quick question. Are they still in
Yes.
New York at the time or
This is still in New York, yes.
Okay.
In the 2019 Netflix documentary, The Black Godfather, which is about the life and career of Clarence, which, by the way, go watch that
Is it
on
on
Netflix.
Netflix?
Yes.
Okay.
As soon as you finish this episode, go watch that. It's so good. It focuses mostly on Clarence, but you do get to see Jackie in it and do get to hear her talk a little bit. But it's just fascinating to know how connected they were to everyone. So
Wow.
everyone go watch The Black Godfather. In that documentary, music and cultural historian Nelson George said the Ebony Fashion Fair models were like the first models that Black people really saw on the runway. So for a Black guy in 1960 something, a fashion fair model
Yeah.
was like a big deal. And Clarence had his sights set on Jackie.
Yeah, I did.
To woo her, he would pick her up in a limousine and take her to the hottest music venues in Manhattan, like the Apollo Theater and Birdland Jazz Club, which are both incredibly
Right.
historic.
And it seems like a big deal for that time frame. Like
I mean, that
getting
would be a
into a
big
limo
deal
and yeah.
now.
Now,
But
true.
yeah, I mean, she said that he always sent a car for her, and she was just kind of like, who is this guy? Like, what is this?
Aw. He was swooning her. I love that.
Clarence did not come to play games. He set his eyes on Jackie and was like, I'm going to pull out all the stops. I got to put my best foot forward.
Hell yeah, go Clarence.
And it worked. The two were married in 1967. The following year, the couple gave birth to their first child, a daughter named Nicole, and they relocated from New York to Los Angeles. Again, it was the 60s, and neighborhoods were highly segregated. I mean,
Right.
they still are today in a lot of places. Housing discrimination and redlining caused a stark divide between predominantly white neighborhoods like Beverly Hills and predominantly black neighborhoods.
Mhm.
Jackie and Clarence couldn't afford to live in Beverly Hills, so they planned to live in Baldwin Hills, which is a predominantly black upper middle class neighborhood. Ray Charles lived there, so did Ike and Tina Turner, jazz singer Nancy Wilson, a lot of prominent black people in the entertainment industry.
Just a quick question, only because you have like Los Angeles knowledge. I have New York knowledge. In New York, there are a lot of neighborhoods that have been gentrified, that have changed over the years. So I'm just curious about this particular one and if you know anything of it.
I will say LA has changed a lot over the years. There are still those that are predominantly white and those that are predominantly black. Obviously, you do see more integration now, but at the time, it was unheard of for a
Right.
black family to move into Beverly Hills.
Right.
Baldwin Hills was coined the Black Beverly Hills. However, Clarence's mentor and boss at the time, Joe Glazer, who managed the careers of such artists as, Louis Armstrong, Billie Holiday. He lived in Beverly Hills. He was a white man. And he was like, hey, Clarence and Jackie, if you really want to live in Beverly Hills, I can loan you the money to get a place. So he did. And Jackie and Clarence moved into the neighborhood.
Oh, that's awesome.
Just a few years later, in 1971, they gave birth to their second child, a son named Alex. And during this time, Clarence was busy with his newly formed record label, Sussex Records, and had just signed a guy who'd recently been laid off from his manufacturing job at Weber Aircraft. The guy was aspiring musician Bill Withers, who would become a legend in the music industry.
In powerful peace, Bill Withers.
Yes.
I
Lean
love his
on Me,
songs.
Ain't No Sunshine. I mean, everyone has
Lovely
heard his
Day,
songs.
everyone, yeah.
So
and they've been on
big
commercials.
Deal.
I mean, now still to this day.
Oh, for sure. So Clarence has his thing going on. He became a titan in the industry and was eventually inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But Jackie was not the kind of woman to just sit around while her husband did all the work. No, no, no.
I wouldn't think so.
No. Those close to the couple say it was Jackie who was the guiding force.
Oh, hell yes.
Magic Johnson, who was a close friend of Jackie's, said, quote, she was just an amazing woman who was a quiet giant. She wasn't behind Clarence. She was right beside him.
It's like the Chicago quote from the Art School episode.
I thought about you when I was
reading
this. I was like, oh, she's immediately going to say Judy Scholl.
Judy Scholl.
As I mentioned in the beginning, Jackie was a huge philanthropist and supporter of the arts. There's a great story her daughter, Nicole, told to People magazine where she talks about growing up and how her mom would pick her up from school and they'd start driving, but it was clear they weren't driving home. So Nicole thought maybe her mom was taking her to the park or to go play with friends because, like, that's what you think of when you're a kid.
So, quick question. They have Alex and Nicole. So, they have two kids or they have more than two?
Just the two.
Okay.
But then it became clear that that's not what they were doing. Like, they'd passed all the parks, they'd passed the ice cream shops, and Nicole would be like, okay,
where are we going?
What are we doing?
Right.
And Jackie would turn to her and say, we are sharing our blessings. And they would drive to South Central LA, which is a notably low-income area, and help out in any way they could, whether it was donating books, donating their time, whatever was needed.
So
this is giving you an idea of the kind of woman Jackie was. And I'll link that entire People magazine article because it's really good. Okay. In 1974, Jackie was chairwoman of the National Organization for Women's Entertainment Division. In 1975, she served as president of the Neighbors of Watts, which is a nonprofit that supports child care centers in South Central LA.
Oh, wow.
So, like, underserved communities. Right. She went on to serve on the board of directors of the International Student Center at UCLA, along with 2 terms as board president of the Museum of African American Art of Los Angeles.
Her resume is kick-ass.
Girl, it keeps going. In 1984, she served on the cultural committee for the Summer Olympics in LA.
What?
But wait, there's more.
Yeah.
More recently, she volunteered as a docent in the Pavilion for Japanese Art at the LA County Museum of Art, or LACMA, as most people refer to it, and she was very active in the Japanese community in Los Angeles. She owned one of the largest collections of Japanese lacquered boxes and other artifacts. It was a passion of hers, and I had to look into it a little bit more thoroughly because I was like, okay, a lacquered box, like I don't get it.
Is it like the Kinsakura?
I don't
Like
know what
style?
that is.
Well, when you fill something that's broken with gold.
Oh, you know what? I do know what you're talking about now. I think this is a little different.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but I think this is a little different. Lacquer is considered a very exquisite and painstaking art form in Japan.
Oh.
And this was something she learned a lot about. She would donate her collection to museums and help educate others about the art form. People said Clarence had his music, Jackie had her art.
Oh.
Like this was something that was just hers that she loved. So I wanted to make sure I put it in here.
And also, so she was murdered in 2021. So I'm guessing she was part of all of these organizations and all the philanthropy work all through that time.
Throughout her life. Yeah.
Okay.
She was also on the board of the Wallace Annenberg Center for the Performing Arts, a project both she and Clarence had championed from the beginning before the organization even had a performing arts space. She and Clarence donated a lot of money and were very involved in getting the space built. She was passionate about arts education and sat on the education committee of the Annenberg Center.
Oh, well, the minute you say that word, my heart just flows.
Yeah, you do. You are all about the education. On her 80th birthday in March of 2020, Jackie asked that instead of gifts, people donate to the Annenberg Center for the Performing Arts.
That's incredible.
So, just an all-around bad bitch. In addition to her work in the arts, Jackie was also an advocate for the Democratic Party. Oh. President Jimmy Carter would often send African heads of state to her house during visits to LA.
She's probably good at entertaining too.
She was good at everything. I mean, let's be real here.
Yeah.
And she also organized fundraisers for political leaders like Barack Obama and Maxine Waters. She is said to be the guiding force who helped her husband unite prominent figures in sports, entertainment, and politics, often to benefit those less fortunate.
That's outstanding. Amazing.
For example, organizing fundraisers for community groups and schools, things like that. Political consultant and family friend Kerman Maddox said, quote, "They were the quintessential team and clearly the most powerful African-American married couple in Southern California, if not the entire West Coast."
Wow. Those are some serious accolades.
They knew everyone. And if you watch that documentary, you will just see how they are the thread throughout all of Hollywood. It's wild. In the late 60s and early 70s, the Avants spent $26,000 to help elect Tom Bradley as LA's first Black mayor. For the time, that was a huge amount of money. It's the equivalent of about $200,000 today.
Damn.
They helped Tom Bradley defeat the racist Sam Yorty, and Bradley became not only the first Black mayor of LA, but also the longest serving. He served 20 years.
I was going to ask, how long was that run? Nice. 20 years. A lot changes in like a year. So
exactly
20 years.
He served 5 terms.
Yeah. Wow.
That's
5.
That's a long ass time.
Yeah.
He would be the only Black mayor in LA until last month when Karen Bass was sworn in, becoming the first female mayor of Los Angeles.
Now, did he retire or?
I think he retired.
Just curious.
So Jackie and her husband were a very influential couple. Magic Johnson said, quote, "In Black America, they are like royalty in a sense because of what they have been able to do to help other people achieve their goals and dreams." Their daughter Nicole remembers growing up in a house where Jimmy Carter, Tom Bradley, Frank Sinatra, Harry Belafonte, to name a few, these amazing people were all frequent guests.
Right.
Like today, they'd be like telling your kid, "Hey, can you set the table today? Because Michelle Obama and Harry Styles are coming over for dinner. Like, can you like get them a plate?" Like that's what life was like for them.
And it was just natural. It just
Yeah,
that's how it flowed.
wild.
Hmm.
By all accounts, Jackie really was the thread that connected all these people together. A friend of the family said the couple effortlessly traveled between artists and kings, and Jackie was the queen of the people.
Mm.
Everyone felt
What a
comfortable
beautiful
around her.
sentiment.
I know, I love that. They said everyone felt comfortable around her. Everyone wanted to talk to her. She was always the person in the room who people would listen to. But tragically, all of that would come to an end on December 1st, 2021.
Which was not that long ago.
No, this is pretty recent. In the early hours of the morning, sometime around 2 o'clock a.m., 29-year-old Ariel Maynor used what police believed to be a rock to break a sliding glass door at Jackie's home.
Is that a female, a male? Just curious.
Male.
Okay.
Before breaking into the Avants, Maynor had 2 prior convictions for robbery and causing great bodily injury, but was out on parole. That night, he showed up to the residence. It's unclear how he got onto the property, unless he followed the couple home, maybe.
And like slipped in or something.
Maybe. I couldn't find anywhere. After breaking the sliding glass door, he apparently had planned to rob the home, but I guess he encountered Jackie before he was able to get anything. Clarence later said he did hear a fight occur before the shooting, but we don't know what the fight was about or who it was between. Clarence was not in the room when this occurred. Within minutes of breaking into the home, Maynor shot at Jackie 3 times with an AR-15 rifle, hitting her in the back. He then ran out to get in his car, which was a Lexus, but stumbled a little bit and dropped a red glove. So that was dumbass move number 1.
Right.
I don't know if he arrived in the Lexus or if he stole it from the Avants driveway. The report I read said he got in his Lexus, which makes me think he arrived in it.
Right.
I don't know.
And it was a solo act, so it wasn't somebody else driving.
Yeah, he was alone.
Like that. Okay.
As he was leaving, he turned back and fired 5 more shots in the direction of the Avants security guard, but did not hit him.
Oh my God.
One of the shocking elements of this case is that this was a highly secured neighborhood. All of the houses are set pretty far back off the street, and there's like very dense vegetation. So you kind of can't even really see the house from the street. And there are long driveways to get up to the house.
So do we think there was some sloppiness of like somebody allowing that car to come in? Or do you think somehow it just slipped by? It was a Lexus, so maybe they thought it was like a guest or...
See, I don't know if it was a gated community. I'm kind of thinking it wasn't. I mean, it was a very upscale community.
Right.
And they had a private security guard.
Protection. Right. For their house only. I mean, for their area, right? It was their hired.
It was their own private security guard, the Avants. So it's just like, how did he get on the property?
Right.
And I don't know. And I couldn't find anything about it. I don't know if they were coming home late from an event, because I mean, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. So I don't know if they'd just been at an event and were coming home and this person followed them. Or, I mean, that seems kind of most likely in my opinion.
The scenario.
Yeah, but I don't know for sure. Beverly Hills police received a call just before 2:30 a.m. about a shooting at the Avants home in, you know what, I wrote this down, but I think it's a typo. So I'm just going to, because I was going to list the area, but I can already see a lot of misspelled words. So clearly I don't think that that's the correct address.
You know what?
Anyway.
That's serious honesty.
So anyway, the police arrived, and this will break you. They found Clarence on the floor, cradling Jackie in his arms.
Well, I'm assuming she had already gone, but...
Well, when paramedics arrived, they detected a pulse and transported Jackie to Cedars-Sinai, but sadly, she did not make it.
Oh, that is devastating. I want to like be behind him,
I
cradling
know.
him.
And if you watch the documentary, because then it really puts a face and a voice to
Oh,
these names.
was the documentary before?
Yes, the documentary was
Okay.
2019,
I
and this
see.
happened in 2021. So you get to see them as a family. You get to,
Right.
and watching that, you just, it really brings it into reality for you
Mhm.
as a viewer, I should say.
Right.
Ariel Maynor was not done with his crime spree, though.
What?
After fleeing the Avants, he headed to Hollywood, where he attempted to rob a home in the 6,000 block of Gracioso Drive. Again, this is another typo, but I'm pretty sure it was Gracioso Drive. Right now it says Gracious on my computer, but there were a lot of typos
You
here,
know.
folks. Sorry about it. But as he was trying to grab valuables from the home, he accidentally shot himself in the foot.
What?
So that's dumbass move number 2. There's one more coming up that we'll get to.
Are you kidding? He's already left a glove. He shot himself in the foot.
Yep.
You know what? Karma, motherfucker.
Yeah, he got caught pretty quickly. LAPD responded to a call of a break-in, and when they arrived, they found Maynor in the backyard of the home with a gunshot wound to his foot. Police were pretty quick to realize this was not Maynor's own residence and that he had been attempting to rob the
Right.
place. Plus, he had an AR-15 rifle
Yeah.
on him, so he was immediately arrested and taken to a hospital. Someone who is only referred to as, quote, an astute watch commander.
What?
So I don't have a name for
Okay.
this person.
Interesting.
In Hollywood, was able to connect the dots between the Hollywood break-in and the Avant shooting. For one, the rifle was the same
right.
used in both incidents. Plus, police
then
were
the
able to
glove.
link the glove back to Maynor. And there was a ton of surveillance footage showing him driving from the Avants home in Beverly Hills toward Hollywood.
Jesus.
Not to mention security footage from one of Clarence and Jackie's neighbors clearly showing Maynor approaching the house and then leaving a few minutes later and firing those additional shots toward the security guard. He pled not guilty.
What?
Like,
By
really,
like reason
dude?
of insanity or just not guilty because he
You were
believed-
on multiple cameras, sir. While he was in jail, so this is still in December, so he hadn't been sentenced yet. Maynor makes dumbass move number 3. And you're probably like,
what?
He's already been arrested. How could he make more dumbass moves? Well, he placed a call to a female friend of his, which he is allowed to do that. He can have a phone
Right,
call.
but isn't it like recorded?
Yeah, but he didn't know that.
Oh God, what did he say?
He fucking bragged and laughed about the murder.
Ew.
He was laughing about killing a woman and all the publicity that surrounded it. Like, he got a kick out of the fact that he was all over the news.
Factor. That is disgust.
Yeah. This person is a monster. And his friend says, that's not funny. That's somebody's life. And Maynor told her that he thought he was going to be able to rob them of about $50,000. But when the burglary failed at the Avant house, he went on to a home in Hollywood Hills to attempt another one.
Had he already scoped out who he wanted to rob from? And did he know this particular family? Like,
see,
exactly
that's a great question. And that's unclear because when reports first came out, they weren't sure if it was linked to anything or if he targeted them or if it was random. And I'm not sure they still have been able to determine that. This was also around a time when a lot of break-ins were occurring in celebrity
that
homes.
area. Okay.
And we were hearing about it on the news a lot more. Right. There was like a huge rise in Beverly Hills and things like that. He didn't commit those. I mean, he did some others, but not those particular ones. But there was a rise in that kind of crime in the area. So it's possible maybe he did see them leaving an event or something and followed them to this neighborhood, which if he got to the neighborhood, he would know that they were affluent.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they've determined whether they were targeted or random. I don't think he knew who it was.
I would think that's where my mindset would go if he were just following somebody wanting to like take items.
Was probably like, oh, they have money.
And maybe thinking with that phone call, maybe he was thinking too, yeah, I assume there was probably about $50,000 in there, things I could steal.
Right. Update. So after Kayla and I finished recording this episode, I did a little more digging and I found a more concrete answer to her question. So this is from the New York Times. The Beverly Hills police did find that just one day before the shooting, Ariel Maynor did use his phone to research Clarence Avant and where they lived and how to use an AR-15 rifle. So he did know who they were and he did target them. I just want to make sure I put that in here. And now we'll jump back into the episode. So he's
Just
telling
because
his
he
friend.
sounds like such a dumbass. I
He
can't
is.
imagine he actually planned all this out.
Yeah. Oh,
because if he had,
you can tell he didn't plan much of shit because
right.
it's so messy. So he's telling his friend on the phone, he's like, yeah, I'm all over the news. And he goes, oh, you think my mama's seen that though? Yes, sir. I do think your mama saw it. And I think it broke her heart, you fucking asshole.
Yeah.
Not to mention, Jackie was someone's mom and you took her away from them. Also, as we said before, do you really not know that all those calls are recorded? You fucking idiot. So that was dumbass move number 3.
Yeah.
Maynor did later change his plea to guilty. Which it's pretty
clear.
Yeah. Which was a relief to Jackie's family because it meant they didn't have to endure a long and painful trial.
Right.
Just before Christmas of 2021, Maynor called another friend saying that he expected serve. Yes. Saying that he expected to serve maybe 20, 25 years tops. He was
he hadn't been sentenced yet.
Correct.
Okay.
He was like, yeah, the district attorney won't give me the death penalty or life without parole. I'm going to get out of jail in probably 20, 25 years. You feel me? This is what he says to his friend. And he was right about part of that. District Attorney George Gascon does not seek life without parole in his cases.
And did he know that, or was this guy assigned to him?
I think the guy, this was the district attorney, so this is the prosecutor. Okay. But Maynor has the 2 prior convictions. So Attorney Gascon sought 150 years to life for the murder with a 3 strikes enhancement plus a consecutive 43-year term for other crimes.
Oh, good.
Ariel Maynor was sentenced in April of 2022 to a minimum of 150 years in prison.
Yeah.
Plus another 40 years for other crimes without the eligibility of parole.
Yes.
He will spend the rest of his life in prison.
And rightfully fucking so.
Bye. And do you want to hear something else that's just going to make you be like, oh my fucking God?
Absolutely.
On Maynor's Facebook page is a Bible verse. It's Proverbs 16:12 that reads, quote, "It is an abomination for a king to commit wickedness because the throne is built on righteousness." It's like, who exactly are you preaching that to? Because you certainly don't live by that standard.
Was this do you know when it was posted?
I don't.
Oh, okay.
I also read, and this is something that I just could not shake because I don't know, for whatever reason, this hit me in a way. Ariel Maynor grew up in the foster system. Jackie had devoted much of her life to helping kids in the foster system. Like, she is someone who would have helped you.
Right.
I mean, there's a chance she did. You know what I mean? Yeah, there is a chance that her path crossed with him before. Wow. I don't know why, but I just couldn't get over that fact. Jackie leaves behind a legacy not only in her charity work, but also in her kids. Oh. Both Alex and Nicole are very successful. Alex is an actor and producer, as well as an executive at CAA Talent Agency. And Nicole served as the youngest United States ambassador to the Commonwealth of the Bahamas during President Obama's administration.
Wow.
She also produced the documentary I mentioned earlier, The Black Godfather, about her dad.
Oh, she did. Oh,
she did.
Wow. That is amazing. It's, you know what, why it's so amazing is I always think of the song Unforgettable.
Mm.
And, the father-daughter dynamic there. And constantly think about how you can represent or do like tributes to your own kin, right?
Sure.
And what a beautiful way to do it when, when her mom was still around.
Yes. That, you know what I was thinking about that is I'm glad that they're all in it. Unfortunately, there's not a documentary solely about Jackie's life in the same way that there is about
Maybe there
Clarence,
will be.
but not while she's alive. And I was thinking,
Right. I see what you mean.
it's wonderful for Clarence because a lot of times, we bestow these accolades on people after they've already passed.
Right.
And, Clarence luckily is able to experience it all while he's still alive.
Of course.
But Jackie is definitely a huge part of his legacy. I don't think there would be his success without her.
I wish that Nicole or Alex would go on the podcast that you mentioned earlier. I swear on my mother's grave. I would love to hear kind of their perspective.
Hey, let's plug that. Hey, Nicole and Alex Avant, if you have any desire to talk about this story further, maybe suggest Dana Black's podcast or ours. We'll interview you too. But I mean, they've definitely given plenty of interviews. And
sure.
Nicole said, quote, "While my father was in it making all the deals, my mother was the one who gave me my love of literature, my love of filmmaking, my love of storytelling." Reginald Hudlin, he directed that Netflix documentary. He said, "Jackie was the epitome of grace, elegance, kindness, and good taste. Like so many people in Hollywood, I owe so much to the mentorship and generosity of Clarence and Jackie."
It's interesting because I haven't ever seen a picture of her, and maybe I have and I just don't know it, but I have this image in my brain, and it's more about the adjectives that were used to describe her. Like I feel that aura, that sense of like person that she was.
Oprah Winfrey called her the softness around the edges, which I just loved that.
I love that.
Upon hearing the news Jackie had been killed, Oprah Winfrey said, "I've spent the day numbed and in shock. I can only imagine how the Avant family feels. Jacqueline Avant was the classiest, kindest, and most calming presence. The fact that this has happened, her being shot and killed in her own home after giving, sharing, and caring for 81 years has shaken the laws of the universe. The world is upside down and deeply in need of some love today."
It's a beautiful tribute too.
And you know what? I'd say the world is in need of love every
day. Every damn day.
We are not a great people out there, folks. Truly, like, we could all use a little more kindness, a little more compassion, and we need to show that to others in whatever small way we can.
And if you have ideas, let us know. We'll post them.
Yeah, you can follow us on social media at Horrorwood Podcast.
Or you could also email us at
horrorwoodpodcast@gmail.com.
And like we said earlier, we would love for you to support us using our Patreon account.
If you have the means and you're feeling so inclined, you can pop on over there. It's patreon.com/horrorwoodpodcast. And we'd appreciate the love. We all need a little love. We love all of you, and we love you all for listening. And stay safe out there.
Bye, Misfits.